Hello, everybody. My name is Jesvita, and right now I'm the member of the International Youth Advisory Body. First of all, I'd like to thank Sister Mary for giving me this opportunity because uh, being a new immigrant to Canada, I never thought that I would have the opportunity to actually continue my ministry here. And I knew I would start, but I did not know where to start. So thanks to Sister Mary for giving me this chance. And she asked me to share my experience on the two synods that I attended and also the my expectations that I have towards the church. Starting off, let's start with the synod one that I attended, which was in 2019. Now, in the year 2018, some of my friends in India who were active, ministers, active young people in the ministry, were invited to be a part of the pre-synod and the synodal process. And I did not know what synod meant back then. I thought it was, a big meeting where cardinals and bishops come together and priests come together and have this big discussion with the Pope. What they discuss, what the meeting is going to be like, I had no idea. But when these young people came back, they shared their experiences of what the Synod is. They told that, it's where everybody is listening to the other. Everybody is treated equally, everyone's voices are heard, they are listened to, and the Pope, the cardinals, the bishops, everyone is listening to everybody there. Because the synod was on youth, that's why there were a lot of young people and there was a lot of sharing. And 2019, I was selected as one among the three of us who went from India, and 350 young people from all over the world came to this post-synodal meet that I was a part of. A big meeting, right? 350 young people. I mean, everybody coming with different stories to share. 3 day discussions. Mornings were plenaries where there were speakers, and in the afternoon were group discussions. The groups were all mixed. Everybody came from different backgrounds, different countries. Of course, the language was similar, so that the sharing was easy. There were English groups, there were French groups, there were Spanish groups, and etc. etc. So, what the discussions were about? The first day discussion was about whether the synod that happened the previous year had any impact in the local churches. Day two was about the Christus Vivit, the document, the exhortation that the Pope brought out. Was it reaching the young people? Day three was about how the 350 young people, what are we going to carry back from this post synodal meet? And how are we going to continue the synodal work back home? Well, I came to discuss with a lot of complaints, from my church. And I was like, I am going to share that nothing is happening, everything is really sad, young people are still not heard, etc., etc. But when I started hearing the other young people share their stories, I felt that, hey, I am actually blessed in so many measures, mainly because these young people shared how for them to bring together just 10 young people together was a major task. But for me, I come from a place where, it's not that there is a system, there is a crisis, there is a region, there is a national level, there is youth ministers working at each level, and we are organizing programs. Of course, the finances, the resources, there are a lot of strains when it comes to these areas. But these young people from so many places in the world, they don't have the resources even to start a small conversation. If they have to organize something, they have to go and keep knocking on doors of other people to help them. If they are lucky, maybe someone opens the door, but if not, nobody is going to listen to them. And this was really heartbreaking. And I got, all of us got to meet the Pope towards the end of the synod, and we individually had a good conversation. So, what did I carry back from this post-synodal meet in 2019? Two things. One is gratefulness, and two is accompaniment. Gratefulness, as I said, I came back and I made sure to tell people to stop complaining that we don't have things. And started telling people to embrace everything that we have and to be grateful for everything that we have. Secondly, I started telling people about how accompaniment was a major factor of the synod. Accompaniment, when I say, it does not mean, priests being there for us, lay people or young people, but even we being there for them. So it works both ways. And this I mainly learned when I met the Pope, because I remember when it was my chance to meet the Pope, I was shivering. I didn't know what to speak. And Pope saw that and he came forward. He took the step ahead and he came forward to hold my hand. He came forward. He did not wait for me to go to him. He came forward. And that's what I came back and I shared in my home country. I told them, don't wait for others to come to you. You go to them. That is what Jesus did, didn't he? He didn't wait for anyone to go. He didn't wait like, people are going to come to me. No, he went to the people. So these two things is what I learned from the Synod one. The next time I got to attend was the Synod on Synodality. The first process was the beginning process, the opening ceremony of the Synod on Synodality was in 2021, and it was in October. And there weren't young people, but we were invited because we were part of the advisory body. We were 20 young people, and there were group discussions. Group discussions were completely a mixture of there were cardinals, bishops, there were priests, there were young people, all of us from the body, two in each group, and lay people from different backgrounds, okay, different professions, different communities, different services that they were giving to. And what were our discussions? Our discussions were about, is this synodality, this journeying together happening in the local churches? The second thing that the discussion topic was on about, what are we expecting from this synod, and what are we expecting from the church? Very interesting conversations, because everybody, even if you were a cardinal, a young person, or a lay person, you were given equal time. Everybody had to share for just 2 minutes, and that's where equality came in the picture. Second thing was the sharings. Some were really happy sharings, but some were really heartbreaking sharings. And unfortunately, I had the heartbreaking sharing. When I was sharing, I just looked around the room, looked at my group, these cardinals sitting next to you, and I saw how all of them had this sad expression on their face. And what I felt was that I am being heard. People are listening to me. My voice is not, dismissed, but they are listening to me, because I saw a few people had tears in their eyes. And that's where I felt, it's happening. The church is trying to embrace all of us. It's slow, but it's happening. The last thing that Sister Mary wanted me to share was about my expectations from the church. I've already kind of shared it in this, it's accompaniment. I want accompaniment to be seen in the church, to be experienced in the church. I want people to embrace one another. Secondly, this gratefulness that I keep talking about, uh, we have to be grateful. I want people to be more grateful for what we have rather than just sitting and complaining about what we don't have. Third, when I say synod, as I told you initially, I didn't know what it meant. But after attending these synodal processes, I've realized synod actually means just walking together, journeying together, just being with each other, holding hands and walking together, not neglecting people, not neglecting those who are not with us, but embracing them, trying to bring them together. And okay, when I say walking together, unfortunately I experience this only when I am there on the stage, or only when I'm in a group where everybody is sharing these topics. When I go back home, when I come back to any parish, I don't see that walking together. I see a lot of barriers. There is so much of gap. And what do we do about the gap? I want us to fill that gap by the warmth, by embracing everybody. The warmth that we need in the church is not there today. Secondly, I am a major fan of the Pope. Okay, I got to meet him even the second time that I went to Rome in 2021. I also got to have a little chat with him. So that is just a small aspect of why I'm a major fan of the Pope. But here's why. When in the first time that I went to Rome, we had plenary sessions in the morning, and this cardinal was he shared about his conversation he had with the Pope. I think a few weeks ago. He was just sharing with the Pope, saying, when, because the discussion was about young people and the youth and their role in the church, he told the Pope that young people are an important aspect of the church. When he said, no, there's nothing wrong with the sentence, right? I mean, you and I would think that, hey, there's nothing wrong, young people are important in the church. Well, guess what, the Pope corrected him. And this is what he shared with us, 350 of us. He said, the Pope corrected him immediately and he said, young people are not an important aspect of the church. Young people are the church. And this is where I remember getting goosebumps listening to this. And we are not just one part of the church or some important element in the church, but we are the church. Second Synod taught me that it's just not young people, it's everybody. You and I, we are all the church. So when I say we need more warmth, it just means that you and I need to be more warm people, more accepting towards one another. Second thing that I remember during the second time that I went to Rome was when Pope was giving his talk, his introductory talk. He told this sentence which kind of resonated inside of me. He said how today's churches have become museum churches. Now, well, museums are beautiful, so a church is also beautiful. That's what you and I would think. But then, what he actually meant was he continued saying that churches today are like museum churches. They are beautiful to look at, but they have a very sad history. There is a lot of rich history, not just sad, there's a lot of rich history. Okay, it's beautiful to look at, but there's a lot of rich history. But we don't want such churches today. We don't want just beautiful from the outside or the rich history. What are we doing today? We need to move forward. We need to move forward from this museum element that we are making the church today. We need a church that is guided by the Holy Spirit, was Pope's next sentence. Now, Holy Spirit term came in here, and for me, it was like since first standard, every time I went to catechism, I did not know what Holy Spirit is or was, because we are always taught a lot about Jesus and about God and about Mother Mary, about Joseph, but Holy Spirit, not much. So when we were having these discussions in the groups, this moderator kept telling the 2 minutes of prayer time that we had in between the sharing, she kept telling, let's try to, bring ourselves in the presence of the Holy Spirit. First two times I didn't understand what she's trying to tell, but the third time I actually tried to pray to the Holy Spirit. I said, uh, okay, I just started praying to the Holy Spirit, and I felt so warm inside me, and that's when I realized after that, anything that I shared was so warm. My words, I could feel it. So when Pope is stressing so much about the role of the Holy Spirit in this synod, it just means that we need to be more warm, because the warmth that I experienced while sharing was something that I cannot share in words. That even now I am not sure how to share the experience that we have with the Holy Spirit. It's just like a guiding instrument for us. Third thing, very recently, Pope's Instagram post was he had a general audience and he shared it on Instagram. His small little talk of his general audience. He shared about. I remember he asked the question to the audience: who is important in the church today? Is it the religious sisters? Is it the priests? Is it the bishops? Is it the cardinals? Or is it the Pope? He said, it is no one. The minute we start thinking that I am more important than the other person, that's where we go wrong. I expect my church to not do that. I don't want all of us to be competing in the church. The minute we start competing, that is when none of us feel belonged. I want to feel belonged. If I want to feel belonged to the church, then I don't want to see the competition. I don't want to see the comparison. When Pope said in his statement that nobody is important, everybody is equal in front of God, I felt it deeply, because a set of questions came to my mind. Questions like, why are we competing in the church? Why is there bias in the church today? Why is there favoritism in the church today? I, as a young person, have been experiencing throughout my life. 2014, I joined youth ministry, and it's 2023, and I still experience this competition, this corruption, this favoritism, which does not make any sense to me. If we are together in the church, then why do we have these feelings? Why don't we have oneness? Why is there corruption? Why is there no belongingness? And that is where the question comes after this, so if all of this is present, then where do we go? Where do the people who need this love, who need church, who want to experience God go? If we are going to have all these negatives, then there is no way that our church is going to move forward. If we want our church to walk past that museum history, the museum beautiful aspect, we need to walk together. We need to be together. And this is what I expect my church. This is what my expectations are from the church. And when I say church, I don't mean the walls that we have in the parish. I mean you and I, the people. It's the people that need to change. It's the people that need to walk forward. I mean, that's our mission, right? Humility and service. If we are Catholics, that means we love Jesus. And if we love Jesus, that means we have to try and take his life as an example. Jesus lived, as I said earlier, he did not wait for people to come to him, he went to the people. Secondly, he was humble. He never said, I am king, or, I need power, I need all of you to submit before me. He did not do that. He was humble, and he was always in the mentality of serving the other person. And that is what you and I should do. Now, I said so much. It does not mean that I'm perfect or that I am great just because I'm a leader or whatever. I'm also trying as a young person in my little ways. I'm not doing a lot of change, but the little ways that I'm doing, it gives me a sense of happiness that, I'm trying to be like Jesus. I mean, that's what I think all of us should do, don't you think? So, I think this is where I want to end my sharing. And once again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share. And yeah, thank you. That's it.